What is happening, AJ Game Dude here, and I'm going to be talking about Last of Us Part 2 Remastered. So, I feel like it was going to be just a matter of time before something like this was announced, given that The Last of Us, the original, has been released 3 times across the PS3 as its original release, Last of Us Remastered a year later on the PS4, and then Last of Us Part 1 not too long ago on the PS5, so it has actually been on every single console generation since its original release. The same thing can now be said for The Last of Us Part 2. That's actually coming out, I think it was January of 2024, if I remember right. I can't remember the exact date. 19th January, yeah, it says right there. So, essentially, I have a feeling it's going to cost $70, 70 USD. As did the Last of Us Part 1, which I never ended up buying because there was no way to upgrade from like having the original Last of Us or even Last of Us Remastered, which was kind of unfortunate. Though in this case they have actually done something for us, and that is that we can actually upgrade $10 USD or whatever your local currency is. So in my case it's probably going to be about $15 to go from Last of Us Part 2 to Last of Us Part 2 Remastered. Now, I have the disc version, but then again, I'm kind of like very disc heavy. Now, if you have the disc version like myself, you'll need to actually have the disc drive available on your PS5 to actually be able to redeem the offer to upgrade, but also to just be able to play Last of Us Part 2 Remastered if you do choose the upgrade path that's like in front of us here. So if you bought the disc and you have a digital only PS5, then you're kind of fresh out of luck, because then you don't have any way of being able to upgrade Last of Us Part 2, the physical disc, to Last of Us Part 2 Remastered if you can't even put in the disc into your PS5 that you have in order to actually be able to play Last of Us Part 2, the Remastered. I was going to say PS5 version, Remastered. Now, it's nice to at least have a local, a native PS5 version, but in saying that, it does feel kind of weird, though there are some benefits, I suppose. At the moment, we've got graphical enhancements, which is, yeah, sure, I guess. I mean, the game looked really good for what it was on the PS4 anyways. You've got the lost levels, so apparently it's like sort of incomplete yet kind of dev'd up levels. So like the devs created some levels, but they weren't able to put them into Part 2 either due to time constraints or something else along those lines. So that's fair. DualSense wireless controller integration, which, I mean, the DualSense has some great stuff on it. New outfits, I really don't care. Let's move on. Guitar free play. Again, people really love playing on that guitar, but I'm good, thanks. That isn't my bag either. The exclusive roguelike survival mode, which does have some interesting aspects to it. And then Last of Us Part 2 Remastered No Return, which I think is some additional single player content, if I remember correctly. In addition to the survival mode and the lost levels, you're getting at least some new content, rather than in the case of Last of Us Part 1, where you had the single player, you had the multiplayer, you took out the multiplayer, but you made the game look a lot nicer, and yet you charged more, which was never really worth it. Honestly, like, anyone could look at that and be like, that was totally not worth it. And also there was no upgrade path on top of it. So honestly, like, if you've played the PS3 version like myself but never played the PS4 version, also like myself, Last of Us Part 1 never felt like it was even worth getting at all. Last of Us Part 2 is only worth getting if you have A, never played the original, or B, you have a copy of the original and you just want to upgrade it for cheap. Or you go to like the local used game store, whether it be GameStop, EB Games, or I don't know, Game if you're in the UK. Buy like a $10 to $15 copy, and then just maybe chuck up throw in like an extra 10 bucks for the upgrade if you have disc version, which is at least a bit of a neat loophole that's there. In saying that, did this game need a remastered version? Obviously not, but and all of the stuff that's being added on could have been added on as an update. The only thing here that genuinely makes it feel like more of a PS5 version is the DualSense wireless controller. I feel like that's the only thing that justifiably could really make this game like worth putting on the PS5. That's probably the only real benefit you're getting. The additional content is nice and all, but people play, you know, Last of Us for its like single player story, and even then, Last of Us Part 2 is not a game I want to play again. And that's because I never actually enjoyed playing it the first time. It just happened, and I was like, yep, sure, this game happened. I don't think it was particularly good, so, you know, why would I want to go back and replay it? But just for the sake of another platinum trophy, I'm probably more than willing to go through the game a second time, because I feel like that game should, like, the story was way too long. That was one of the first things. And the other thing was, yeah, the game kind of, I play games to have fun, sure, but like, you know, it's really just a miserable experience from like beginning to end. Not beginning to end, like there are at least some like fun bits, and I think the most fun bit in the entire story would have had to have been where you've got Joel and younger, like Ellie when she was younger, hanging out at like a museum. That little bit was quite possibly the best part of the entire game, and it shows just how the original Last of Us supersedes Last of Us Part 2 in terms of like how good the writing felt, how good the interactions between these two characters were, and how Last of Us Part 2 has got nothing of the sort in that regard, except for that little bit like halfway through the game. Which kind of sucks, but that's just kind of my thoughts on, you know, the game's actual single player. So yeah, it just doesn't feel like it really even deserves to have a re-release or a Game of the Year edition or whatever have you in between. It's there, I guess, but that's the best thing that I can say about this game. It's there. Anyway, do I think that it deserves this remaster deserves to exist? I don't know, if I'm being completely honest. I'm just here talking about it because it's a thing that's happening. Everyone's got their opinion on it, and ultimately I think at the end of the day I'm just going to end up getting it through the upgrade path that they've provided. So they're at least doing things significantly better than Last of Us Part 1 for sure. Things could be a lot worse, but this isn't something that we want to normalize, and I am kind of disappointed that it wasn't a free upgrade for people who kind of bought the game. But then again, the game's been around long enough for enough people to have bought it even on like sale. So that's a possibility as well. Again, the easiest way to get this and the cheapest possible method by which to obtain Last of Us Part 2 Remastered, instead of paying $70 outright, just go to a used game store, grab the well, actually, firstly, have a disc drive PS5 and not a digital only one. Grab a used copy at like the nearest GameStop, and just pay the upgrade path, and you would have gotten, you know, Last of Us Part 2 Remastered at a significantly discounted price. So, if nothing else, you can at least cheat the system and get something that is going to be overpriced for everyone else, but relatively underpriced for yourself. So if you have anything you want to take away from all this, just take away that one little bit. But yeah, with all that said and done, let me know what you guys think about all of this in the comments below. Like the video if you liked it, subscribe to the channel. I want my videos to go out to more people, and I'm also aiming for aiming to reach 100 subs by the end of the year. But with all that said and done, I do upload every day, so I'll see you guys tomorrow.